Okay, let's go ahead and add some error handling to our application. At this point, if an error occurred, it would just bottom out and do the default, which Express pretty much just takes that error, dumps it in your console, and displays it to the browser, which is not always a good thing, especially for production, when you don't want to display a stack trace to your users, for example. So what we did is refactor our routes and add an error handler to it. Let's take a look at what we did. So I'm going to list the routes directory, and you'll see there's a new file in there named errors.js. But before we look at that, let's take a look at the changes we made to the index file. On line 1, you'll notice we now import that new module on line 1, and we use it down here. Our errors module exports a function the way this one does. So we can continue passing the Express app through to it, and we can expect the same behavior out of it. Let's take a look at that errors.js file now. And here's errors.js. As you can see on line 2, we do the same thing we did with our index file, which was override module.exports, setting it to a function which receives one object, which is our Express app. On line 5, we are declaring a specific function to handle all 404s. It's important that we add this after Express was unable to find a route match. So, in this case, when no other route is matched, we know that this is a 404. So on line 6, we set the status to 404, and we reply appropriately based on the content type. If the request can handle HTML, we render an HTML line directly saying that we couldn't find it. If the request is okay with handling JSON, then we'll send them a JSON object back. And if it can't handle either of those, we just reply with a plain text message, just letting them know we couldn't find what they were looking for. That's all we need to do for 404s. But for an actual error, when something went wrong with the server, Express expects a specific syntax. When we execute app.use and pass it a function, Express looks to see what the arity of that function is. In this case, it's 4, which tells Express this is an error handler. Express will pass the error object request response and next function to your callback. So now we can write a specific message to the console on line 23, just sending out the URL and the error itself. And then to the user, we don't give them a stack trace anymore. We'll respond with an HTTP 500 error code and a little message for them so they know something went wrong. And that's it for error handling.